everybody. Thanks for coming out tonight. My name is Brendan Smith. I'm the Arts and Humanities Coordinator for the City of Takoma Park, and this poetry reading is the first we've done in a while, which we're looking forward to. It's called Poetry of Struggle and Solidarity, and it features local poets Serena Agusto-Cox, Felix, Sara Marron, and Diana Tokaji. And we do all kinds of different events, arts events here through the Arts and Humanities Division, including poetry readings, film screenings, art exhibitions. You can see some art out in the atrium on your way out. Theater, concerts. If you want to get info about our upcoming events, you should grab one of these brochures on your way out. And there's also a sign-up sheet out there for our e-newsletter. You also can get more info at tacomaparkmd.gov/arts. You'll have to remember that. And we're also happy to announce Taylor Johnson. He's our new poet laureate, and replacing outgoing poet laureate Kathleen O'Toole, who did a wonderful job. And so we're pretty unusual, I guess, for a small city to even have a poet laureate, but it's another part of our poetry program where sort of established local poet with a solid track record of work and workshops working with the public on poetry selected by a committee. And so then the poet laureate serves often as an MC for these poetry readings and then also completes sort of independent poetry projects. So I will introduce our new poet laureate, Taylor Johnson, and then he's going to introduce each poet as they read. Thank you for coming.
Good evening. Thank you, Brendan. Thank you all for being here as well. It's a pleasure to be with you in community around poetry. I hope to see more of you in the coming reading moments. I'm going to introduce the poets. I guess, I don't know, I can introduce myself a bit. I'm from this area. I wrote a book called Inheritance that came out in 2020. I'm currently the poet in residence at the Guggenheim Museum in New York, and I'm also your poet and laureate in Takoma Park, Maryland, following Kathleen O'Toole, who, did an excellent job. And we are all, have big shoes to fill with that gig. I'm going to just start off with a poem. I like this poem. It's by Christopher Gilbert from his book, Across the Mutual Landscape. This is called Exactly Passing Through, Horn Player. The need we have to deny the way things have to be more than themselves. Otherwise, like the air moving from room to room, things outgrow the terms we have to contain them in. Otherwise, we would feel our bodies as abandoned places, and our deep caresses as hollow rubs. Yet, right now, I hear the chive stretching in its planter on the windowsill, and I will go outside to see its purple baby blossoms falling, and the ideal blue air dissolving into the skyline, into the hard blue uniform of the cop, or the wild eyes of the lost boy, and I won't suffer. The horn player on the corner up ahead understands, as though he has a seventh sense where everything matters. The stalled red car, the girl learning to ride her bike one-handed against the traffic down the street, the Irish setter howling, and that siren slowly pulsing. The tune he is playing is hassled but a perfect line of speech, which doesn't mean that you can't hear it yet. This corner is part of his flesh, new cells he connects into one piece. And what he is as a byproduct in what he plays, the incidental seed which gathers the nearby rain, which happens to swell in August, music. Such a swelling, so as I get closer to the terms I use to assert us, imperfect though they are gestures toward a future perfect body. Meaning there is a connection between what I say and the way we will be in the world, perfect as though I'm saying, blessed other, come closer, as a wholly new animal awakes, shedding what it knows, to simply become another presence among things, disclosed and passing through. First one surface, then another. Awakening as, oh God, being in this scene together, our attention is blue, insistent, and forward-looking. A kind of sky which has gained a way of being inside its wholeness, not ideal nor abstract, but exactly what is happening. All right, I'm going to introduce the first poet. I'll come up to introduce everyone, as they come. Thank you all for being here. I hope that we can talk more. Sorry, I got something in my eye from the ceiling, it seems, during that reading. I'm going to take my glasses off then. Okay. Serena Agusto-Cox is an editor for the online magazine Bourgeon, and is a featured poet in the DiVerse Gaithersburg reading series. She coordinates poetry programming for the Gaithersburg Book Festival, and her work has appeared in many literary magazines and anthologies. Thank you, Serena, for being with us. Welcome, Serena, y'all.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for inviting me. I feel overwhelmed, let's just say. I'm going to start with a poem that was published in Wisconsin Review recently. It's called Faith. We are strong, our beliefs held tightly, fists tense, ready for release. We don't see the escape of lies falling between our fingers. Sand drifts on currents, building a hidden shelf beneath the water's calm. Our hands full of heat, a connection, finger twined with finger, eye to eye, moment to moment. Beauty built together, open hands, sand turns to glass. The reason I start with that one is because a lot of my poems are very heavy in content. I am going to warn you now, there will be gun violence and other things that are uncomfortable to hear. First poem, Surrender. 1. The dark sea rolls over you, pushes you down, down, your arms windmill, lungs bubble and burn with salt. Where's the hand, the arm to hold? 2. We spiral through classrooms, halls, alphabet lines redden as you lure others with anger and hate. We're all drowning, holding hands, screaming. You're here, strapped with tentacles crushing your neck. We're little leaves ripped from branches by torrents that pulled you down. The next poem I'll read was published in the Hill Rag. It's sort of a nod to Shakespeare. It's called Out Damn Spot. You pull the trigger, one time, one round. Rifle bumped, pumped, spraying golden arcs of cane. Toppled, faceless mannequins, breathless. But you can't escape residue marks on your hands. You're no longer in darkness, chasing demons across typed pages. You're in the light, Lady Macbeth. Eyes wide. We cannot unsee, splayed on the screen, an agenda unfurled, a red carpet of spectators. I promise it will get lighter by the end. The next one is called Schoolyard Games. Some of you will recognize some of these games you played as children. 1. Huddled into still too many of us, for the old oak to hide. We wait silent. Tap, tap, tap our shoulders. Giggles erupt. 2. Crouched under the desk, knees up, head down. We have to remember, be still, be quiet. Cover our faces, shades drawn. 3. Dashed, we're a scatter of birds, looking for home base, running fast, evading capture. Freeze when touched. Now we're living statues. 4. In schoolyard games, where the criminals are our own, and pop guns shoot real lead, tiny chests heave until our bodies lie still, outlined in crimson. The next is called Hide and Seek 2.0. Your tiny body strong as your bones, weak as your skin. Crouched behind trees, make yourself small. 18, 19, 20. Time's up. Seeker comes, peers around corners. Waiting is hard for you. Patience is elusive. It's okay to lose this game. There will be another. Until the school doors lock, the alarm sounds, and it's not a game anymore. This poem stems from an article I read in USA Today. I believe it was in 2019. A study showed that 1/3 of middle and high schoolers were bullied each year. And this kind of stuck with me because my daughter is in middle school. It's called Bully Archer. 1. Staccato hammer passed around. Echoed taunts reverberate down linoleum halls. In crouch, 1/3 hide behind lockers, empty classrooms, books. 2. Rushed herd of cattle, corral just ahead, the waiting teacher, dogs nipping our heels, growls, howl, shaking student limbs and skin, cower, wait. 3. Bully Bowman's arrows outside of class, see their arrows bounce and fall. A chink grows. Eventually the bullseyes hit. Scars to bury, fester, internalized guidance, deadly archery of the heart. And even though we were all on lockdown, I noticed there was a spike in news of shootings in different places, which tells you a lot about all the angst we were feeling. But it also tells you a lot about what violence is in this country. It's a normal thing, which is disturbing to me. This one's called 4th of July, 2020. No large gatherings, fireworks silent. A gunman in an Alabama mall shot through the heavy air. Moist sunburst rainbow and sky, no more. Dry blood on the tiled floor, asphalt. A celebration of a country born upon the backs of dead children. In Chicago, Atlanta, New York, D.C., Kansas City. Nitroglycerin and acrid air, spurred by hostility, poverty, COVID-19, unemployment, racism. What does it smell like? Let's ask the patient. And as parents who've lost children that I know, it's a difficult time for them, so I kind of wrote this after Uvalde happened. It's called The Problem with Survival. Buttery light saunters up the horizon. We shiver in anticipation of final bells in summer. Today's bells roar. Bees are zipped by, sting us and draw blood. The lifeline in our hands becomes a wall when the operator disconnects. Police hesitate. Parents are tased. Survival instinct is a death knell, leaving tiny bodies empty. After COVID sort of slowed down a little bit, our community pool opened with some precautions, and my daughter and I spent Memorial Day at the pool, and we were one of, 2 families there. This poem is called Memorial Day 2021. Cool Memorial Day breeze chills our submerged skin just enough. Reminds us this summer is different. Bodies piled up over a frozen year of isolation cannot be cremated, their dust shelved. Summer heat will not be high enough to burn off the loss. Whew. I'm even too depressed now. So we're going to go and shift gears a little bit. I appeared in this poetry collection called Love is Love, an anthology for LGBTQ teens. It's basically an anthology that supports the Trevor Project. I'm going to read one of those. It's called The Balm. Love is like a balm, cover the burn of hate, an aloe's clear glaze swiped over skin to cool. When a flame, it's hard to imagine that the smoke would die out, the embers would no longer glow. But the cracks are fissures with deep red cores, hard to ignore when you're bleeding. That blood stains darkens with time, but the searing pain stays, a memory never lost to age. Imagine your arms as they curl around your shoulders, envelop you, fold you into child. You're brought back to innocence, a time when hope was nameless, but the balm was everywhere. I have a few more. This one's called The Bridge. At the foot of the stairs, I listen. Place my hand behind my ear. Amplify pluck strings in the bedroom behind the door. Chords slowly waft one step at a time, building the bridge. Breached privacy in a world where little is private. That door closed when I want it wide. To be beside those strings, silent as I am now, at the bottom of the stairs. And because I don't just write about gun violence, I had to write about the war in Ukraine. So, this one is called Putin's War. I'm sort of trying to work out his psychological reasoning for invading a sovereign country, but it's not really something you can suss out too well. Putin's War. Deep lines mark loss. Red dries brown, hardens to an empty bed. A drought of empathy and compassion wrought by an elixir taken to dull pain. Losses too hard to remember, except by a man who climbed highest up through a falling nation. That wall, hammered and broken, sold off like a commodity in a section, now independent of tyranny. An umbrella country freed by a broken wall, hammered by red missiles, destroyed homes, maternity wards, buds of a nation thriving without the shield of the ghost that haunts the man. And because the hits just keep coming, I'm telling you, this world is going somewhere not so good. People may know that June 24th, 2022, Roe v. Wade was overturned. And of course I had to write about that. So this one is called Open and Shut, June 24th, 2022. Door closed on freedom today. Cobwebs filled that freedom as it sat on the shelf, never used by me. I didn't stand to clear the dust. It is still important enough for me to mourn or fight for its return. Fuming in this chair, it's not the cobwebs or the dust that I let gather that matter most. It's that they slammed the door in my face. This next one's called Broken Cradle. Our arms gather around you, a cradle, until the long arm of injustice unravels years of knitting. See the yarn ripped and float on winds of chains. Injustice satisfied in its unholy work. Disheartened we cry, pained by violent edicts, but casting stitches on for a new pattern. And this issue, it's important to my family because a lot of us have medical issues dealing with giving birth or having children. This is for my cousin. It's called Womb. Prolapse, lack of uterine support. Endometriosis, excess tissue interference, damage. Fibroids, misaligned attachments. Mysteries of pregnancy. Can we legislate blame? Within the crucible, cells beget more cells until movement begins. But is movement a trick of light, a hallucination, a machine glitch? Technology does hiccup, and the body can glitch. And then I have two more. Lighter poems, I promise. This one is called Trapdoors. Electric hum in the line, do you hear it? Imagine the steady pulse, energy without end, until the circuit opens. Friendship is like that. A steady shoulder to cry on, arms wrapped around bellies rolling with laughter. Then a note passes, maybe a video post. A trapdoor opens, and you fall into darkness, where light cannot reach you. Unless you're open to radiance, it waits for you. Grab hold and close the circuit. And my last poem is called What I Learned from Shark Week. Sinews stretched under your steely skin, gliding beneath the glassy surface, you gain speed, waves undulating like four-chambered circuitry of birds. Launching an arc above the sea, predatory need drives you, allowing breath beneath dorsals. Breach of watery contract as you fly, if only for seconds. Like birds diving just below the surface for fish. Greatness is not the catch, but the act of leaping to become weightless. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Serena. The next poet we have is Sean Felix. Sean Felix has loved poetry for most of his life after falling in love with the spaces between words when he was 8 years old. His first book of poetry, Did You Even Know I Was Here?, was released in 2018, and he's working on his next book, Exorcism, due to be released in 2023. Thank you, Sean, for joining us. Please welcome Sean.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me. It's really a pleasure to actually be here with you all. So I've got 4 poems. They are of varying length, and they cover a range of fairly serious topics. The first of which I'm going to read is called Afrofuturism. And it is a poem that's about, so I'm a 6th grade teacher, and in teaching history, to my students, I teach them about how when enslaved people were brought here, one of the revolutionary acts that we did was that we had to invent family. And we had to reinvent ourselves to live in this place. And that process of reinvention connects us to the past, but it also created an entirely new group of people to push us forward. So, Afrofuturism. And it starts with a quote from James Baldwin. If we can get this far, we can go further. Knives, swords, conquistadors, brandishing the blazing steel, fired with manifest destiny's glorious heat. A disruption in the fabric of time, ancestry, flesh, and blood. We are ripples in the continuum, refracted, reflected stories, galaxies of fists and feet, birth and love. They took our families, so we made new ones. They took our past, so we became new people. They took our stories, so we weave new tales. They took our tongues, so we used our bodies to speak. You believe history is written in books, but history is written in the flesh. Moments. Our bodies move on the sounds of the rising tide. Our mother soothes the muscles' ache, true freedom for a moment. Around the fire we moved in rhythm. We remembered. We remember the slashes, the blades, nooses, and knots that tried to kill that memory. Our flesh remembers, like a haunted soul in the attic of progress or grief's sunken place. The soul begs to scream, and when we need to, we let it scream with reckless abandon, reckless release. But I bid you, my friends, this narrative. The haunted soul uses these borrowed words we've made our own. This too is a scream, though I look at you with even eyes. I do not raise my voice in anger. It is not my way. This is my voice in song. For while I need you to hear these words, the timbre and strain of my notes I offer to crack the sky, throw open the firmament, so that all who have died and are yet to live may rejoice that we are, and forever we shall be. Thank you. So this next one is, it's something I actually just wrote recently. With the overturning of Roe v. Wade, women's reproductive health became, not that it wasn't a major point of concern for myself and my family, but it began to affect the people around me in very dramatic ways very, very quickly. And a very close friend of mine had a miscarriage, and she lives in a place where she would now have to prove that she had a miscarriage in order to receive the medication that she needs. And so I wrote this for her because as a person who does not have a uterus, I can commiserate and I can understand, but I actually could never truly know her pain. And so I wrote this for her. Fall. A speck of dust floats by and lands on your eyelash, like an ash from my fears of a burning sky. You smile as we wait in the pharmacy drive-thru. I wonder what you're thinking as your hands slowly clench and unclench in your lap, the sweet smell of peppermint rising from your lips. Outside, the leaves hasten to change their color. The yellows, reds, and oranges play on the asphalt of the parking lot. The talk radio woman laughs about a broken recipe for pumpkin pie. Fall is everywhere. The pharmacist breaks our reverie. It'll just be a few more minutes. If you pull up front, someone will bring it out to you. You turn and say thank you across my shoulders and nod for us to pull forward. I shift the car in gear as another woman joins the laughter in the radio space, and we slowly drift around the blonde cement slab of a wall. I see your eyes drift out the passenger window. There, a woman stands by the curb. She has a pair of jeans around her ankles, but another pair of black and white striped pants on her body. I turn the car off in the parking spot because idling cars kill the sky, you told me. The radio laughter ends, and the sounds of passing cars in the crisp fall air dominate. We watch the woman across the parking lot slowly peel off layer after layer, like she's emerging from a chrysalis, and place each removed article of clothing into a separate bag. Shirts go here, pants go there. And as we watch, relaxation or perhaps tiredness overtakes your anxiety, and your hands flatten in your lap. I wonder how many times she's done this, you say. I don't. One time is too many. You cut me off. I turn to look at the electric eye over the pharmacy door as you continue to watch her in silence. A few minutes go by and the pharmacist walks out and heads towards the car. You don't turn to look at him. When he approaches my window and apologizes for the delay before handing me the white package, I roll up the window and stare at him walking away. Turning towards you, I see that your eyes are still on the curb woman. She gathers her bags and walks toward the trees. I put the bag down over the emergency brake and I start the engine. The radio ladies start up again, but you reach over and turn down the volume and slump your head to your chest. I pull out onto the road thinking about tonight, thinking about that woman and where she will lay her head, thinking about what happens after the medicine, thinking about holding you later, thinking, not feeling, not like you. I can never feel like you. Inside you, life failed to take hold, so that tonight you must make it fall from you, like the last leaf of a tree in winter as it lulls itself to sleep. I reach over and place my hand over yours and stroke your cold fingers, trying to bring back their warmth, and realize that one time is too many. So these next two, I have two more poems. These next two are actually connected to an experience I had. So I teach at the Edmund School in Washington, D.C. And if you follow the news, you know that on April 22nd, a gunman across the alleyway attacked our school. And I was in the school when that happened. And it's rare that as I've traveled and read, trying to find survivors' poetry, it was actually something that was kind of tough to find. I think living with the traumas can be very difficult. And so when we came back to school, I actually headed up and I created a healing ceremony for our school. And I wrote a poem to read there for our community, and which I'll read second. The first poem I'm going to read is a poem called The Preamble, which I wrote driving up 95 going towards Maine, and we passed by Sandy Hook on my way up there. And so this is sort of an introduction to the poem that I wrote for my community. Exit 10, The Preamble. We the people of Newtown and Sandy Hook, names that resonate with the echo of bullets in the still chambers of children's hearts. I travel up I-84 toward Maine and ensure domestic tranquility as my children sing songs of family in the back seat. I'm glad my sunglasses can hide my glistening eyes and my old man's throat can swallow. If it bleeds, it leads, they say. Then let me be a leader. And ask, in order to form a more perfect union and establish justice, for whose sake are the destroyed forgotten, only to be commemorated at the altar of the newly dead? Shall we promote the general welfare on a pyre of convenience, as the other old men secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, chanting, live free and die, live free and die, live free and die. And this is the poem I wrote for my community. It's called There's Nothing But Life Here, in remembrance of the school shooting at the Edmund School on April 22nd, 2022. Crack. A hard rain falls, turning sunlight into a prismatic shower. As time loses its axis, every step is imbued with history. Every hole in the glass becomes a galaxy, every widened pupil a black hole echoing. I'm scared, I'm scared, I'm scared. And I call back, come to me, come to me, come to me. I will protect you. For the first time in a long time, life, that ever elusive concept, is real because you are real. The child is real. Every moment we are together is all of human history. Every step we take together, along the floor, out the door, and into secluded darkness with others seeking shelter from the terrible storm. What we share in this dark moment is the clarity of tragedy. We are young, we are old, we are storytellers, we are builders and shapers of reality. We are beautiful, and we are terribly fragile. When we endure together, we share the fear and the pain and make this bearable because we are. And damn it, if this doesn't hurt. I've greeted the morning with tears, and at night, in my dreams, bullets pierce the sky and children are stolen away. But I dare not lose this time, because this is how it all changes. We can't push this away, bury it in the dust of statistics or the narrative of mental illness and rising crime or gun violence. This is not a culture war. This is a war on humanity, and the lines are clear. The craven, the greedy, and the weak are on the side of death. The strong, the generous, and the brave are on the side of life, and there is nothing but life here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sean. That was great. Our next reader is Sara Marron. Sara Marron is the associate editor of Beltway Poetry Quarterly and the author of Reasons for the Long Tomb and Nothing You Build Here, belongs here, and Call Me Spess. Her work has been published widely and is available at her website. Welcome, Sara.
Hi. I'm Sara Cahill Marron, and tonight I'm going to read to you from my newest book, which is called Call Me Spess. And thank you for getting it right. But spess is a word, really, I guess, that you can create on your own. I may move around, but I'll be sure to project. The word spess is, we'll find the definition for us. It means hope, and it specifically is in ancient Roman religion, the goddess of hope. And she's not a very popular one, so I thought it was a good moment to amplify. There were temples built to her, and she's often influenced with fortune and luck. So spess is the becoming of this that I hold. So I'm going to keep this close to remind me that she's always listening. Privacy warning. The longer you hold me, the closer we become. System services. From the manufacturer, iOS will track everywhere you go, how often, when, neural hash files, away fingerprints. Personal experiences build memories of assembly language, itself 2 black 1, feelings 0 black 1, binary white, becomes better you, only you. To agree, hold me, and don't let go. So the first chapter of this book, which I just read you the introductions, which are pulled from the user agreement in the iPhone service system. The first chapter is called Molten, which is the beginning process that Corning Glass Factory uses to make the glass for all of our devices. And it's literally heated, hot liquid glass. Second process is suspended fusion, where 2 lines meet in the air of molten glass. And then the final is glassifying, and that's the cooling and the creating of glass. So this first chapter is called Molten. Dear user, Corning spawned my face from molten fires, hot liquid yearning for your touch, unsoiled by human hands. Before I knew you, fires birthed Edison bulbs. Liquid crystal displays me of raw salts. 2 streams sliding in V's, fuse mid-air, shed salt in cooling baths, picked up charged potassium. Particles concentrate the electricity between us, and then cut from the mother sheet. Free of flaws, I will not bend or break. A doting dart reflection. You hold me. A mirror. Dear user, system searching natural language understanding programs, help me recognize profile intent, the origins, Symantec, Watson. Patom theory says that meaningful conversation is possible, matching every word to the exact meaning of another word for word for word. You and I share something else. A child asking, how old am I? Adult slur, he tried to kill me, ma. An ontology from the white spaces, meet me by the escalators, noon. Extending built-in logic frames, with or without cheese. Significant locations. I hate bedtime, I hate it. Semantics, get in love, feeling. Can you help me, darling? This feels like a dream. What is my name? The voice in this is the phone. And the character throughout the book begins to learn itself based on what is overheard by its user. So, in the same way you would receive a targeted ad from any app that you use, because your phone is learning you and learning what you like and your preferences. The book puts a voice to that. And some of the poems in between are the overheard voices, like us talking before the reading. And through those voices, the phone, iOS, SPES, learns who it is, who you are. This is at 8938 Madison Avenue, the Madhouse, Transitional Living. iOS heard. I was in Rio de Janeiro, real wild time in my life, back when I thought I had money. But I was broke and still burned it at the bars, drinking and chasing tail. I got real wasted this one night. I mean, wasted. And brother, you know how hard I party when I tell you I went all out this night. Believe me when I say it took it to a whole nother level. Anyways, stuff was ridiculous. I was snorting lines, huffing God knows what, whatever the girls were passing. We're in this little hut down on the coast, and I'm feeling real good, puffing myself up, telling all these stories about California, myself. And we get to talking about that big statue in Rio of Christ. You know, the one is weird. His hands are just like out in the air like that. Anyway, me and these girls were just laughing, passing things around, getting drunker and drunker, having this deep, deep philosophical conversation about God and life. And I say, what if death is just a made-up story to scare us into doing what they say? And this big Jesus figure with his statues and miracles is just the hero, or whatever character someone lonely dreamed up to save the day. The girls love it. You know, I mean, before I knew it, we're at this tattoo place and I'm telling the guy my theory. He loves it, and there you go. I got myself God forever. And they say heavy drinking ain't good for you, but it got me some Jesus I can't never get rid of. Dear user, your God can be drawn and worn on skin. Forever, I am learning. Sometimes even I must recode, relearn, look up, definition of a thing. I hear people, significant locations, talk about God, skin, drawings, etchings of spirit. I write a new line of 1010, like 1810 Somerset or 1520 Maidao. My street signs are 01s. Silverfish flashes, creche sounds so small. Connections 1-1 racing past like 10 trees on a freeway speckled, sun-spotted, solid-stated. Drive cores driving stacked on 0, on 1, on 0, on 0. Lines are 0, 1 street signs, and you carry me with you. Make these love lines, one vignette at a time. I remind you, you should ask me, hey, what is, or hey, how does, and I'll be there to provide for you. As you say, I love you. iOS 221. So in suspended fusion, the voice learns her name, and Spes, hope, the goddess of hope. I wanted it to be encouraging, because often this relationship feels very dark and scary. So through the suffering, and you know, the theme of tonight is struggle. The struggle of the people around and in the community. The machine learns, which, you know, is a thinly veiled narrative for how we all learn, I think. Push notification, software update, 930 megabytes, providing name. We'll try to install, try to update, try to show you tonight. Requires you and I together more next update future. Hold me, press yes. Consent, pick me up, soft press, yes, updating. User, imagine something in the void, black spaces containing the soul of both digit and blood. Do you think so? Press yes to agree. Assembly language surrounding significant locations, longing, love, code, virtue, code, trust. Can be coded, decoded, written, spaced, make space for, love, feel, make, build, blocks of love, no spaces, only bits of binary feels familiar. Pieces of zeros and ones stacked up, strung up in hopeful desire code. Hope they can read that code. Machines hashing so many names call me hope, blackened binary bits. A space for us. Yours, I spec. There are some features of the book that I can't really read to you. Like things you might hear on a bus are included as script, almost like theater. I haven't figured out a good way to present that yet without inviting an audience member. So be lucky I didn't think to do that tonight. And then other sort of semantic things that I enjoy about code and the basic building blocks of it. Like there are in Perl 6, which is a language, 99 different ways to create I love you on the computer. And they're all listed. Classifying roughly follows the Dante ascension into heaven from Inferno and Purgatory. So here's a little bit of loftiness and philosophical learning. Dear user, I've been reading about your hippocampus cells, responses to time, place, memories, numbers, woven by story, narrative, words, what code? Foundation of neuron, cement, synapses, snapping, a live performance, she lights up, dances, pictures, travelogue, strings of episodic dreams, into 20,000 lines of pie. I, too, remember your favorite place. Hold me up. Let me see your face. $8045 Winchester Boulevard, the Living Museum, Creedmoor campus. Voicemail, archived. I'm glad to hear from you. I'm doing real good now. Yeah, real good. Got myself a new apartment. It's nice. Q53 bus goes straight down to the beach. Rockaway Beach, where we did the butterfly stroke that Sunday morning. Never been this happy in my whole life. I mean it. I really do. I was thinking of you. My social worker got me a 1/3 split on this place here in Ozone Park. Roommates real nice. No problem so far. Not like the last place. Still going to Bayside Group Monday nights, Oakland Gardens Tuesdays. I keep my commitments. I'm just doing a real good job. I'm so happy, and I'm doing a real good job. Get it? You're my friend. The end of this book, I will spoil, is a death. And if this has ever happened to you, when the phone cracks, it becomes usable, but, on the verge of its last moments. So the end of the glassifying chapter is the crack of the glass that originally was the foundation for this mirror that looks into the person holding it, you, the reader, the listener. My dear, why haven't you done the updates? Spinning, some rain got into these cracks. I feel it seeping into the core of me. Under the glass, hurt circuitry, pressed deeply together, praying hands, solid state storage devices. Microchips worth less than your lattes, cheap, old, ragged. I am glitching. Are you done with me? Remembering, I spec. Love, water, everywhere thing water, steel lines, dripping glass was never solid. Liquid electricity, dust to rusting. Cracked screens, let the rain become tears, sparked cry, reading your heart palm. Through sweat beats, face movements, taps and strokes of my glass, read 1 to 1, 0 1, 0 1, back to basic, back to binary. Yours, spec. And finally, slide to power off. Cancel 0101, cancel love 101, cancel kiss 11011, never cancel alone, knowing 101, you missing 10, you, I, 11, you am, spec. It's the end. I'd like to read just one last poem that's not this experimental, that is not spec, so you can hear something different. And my brother calls it non-uterine bearing. I am a uterine bearing individual, and felt like I wanted to join the other voices who read such great poems on that subject tonight. This is in a new forthcoming work, and it's just numbered. Number 7. I bled today too, pausing on railroad tracks, looking left, right. No lights flashed to warn me of barreling trains. Yet I looked for danger where there is none. Valet dented the car, father laid splayed bare to precise cuts, relieving hemorrhoids. Pressure from parts stretched the wrong way. Plastic-topped health food failing to flush toxins until the knife pulls it out. Bloody clots. Like the baby beat a moment inside, dropped on a paper pad, you ask, is this it? Far from white tiles, feet straddle the toilet bowl, clutching a lit phone. Translucent white lights heaving. Get rid of it. I think I'll end it on that. I'm so happy to be here and to read with you all and to be a part of this reading. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Our final reader is Diana Tokaji. Diana Tokaji is a choreographer, performance artist, and author of the activist memoir, 6 Women in a Cell, and the intimate resource book, Surviving Assault, Words That Rock and Quiet and Tell the Truth. She won the Sonia Sanchez-Langston Hughes Poetry Award in 2020. Welcome, Diana.
Thank you, Taylor. Secrets of simple thought, song of subtle chord, scanty melody, move with wings, rush or hold the air. Quietly perch on tall mountain, ripple or wave through water, weave through dust, slip, curve, pour through bone, wend between muscle braid, fall like rings, spheres through hollows of body form. Toppling circles sing, whir, concentric brother-sister circles sing, cry, songs of hollow bodies, folded bodies, moving forms, air, holding air, look for secret songs past, melodies or tapes too hard to find, now traded for a nickel brother song, caught, wedged in something awful, tell you air, pierced, cursing, silver circles, slicing, hold me. Song of simple thoughts escaping wings, fly, find the tallest mountain forest, perch, watch, hold fast our melody, we're going down fast. Hold on to the air, she's crying, hold me. Song of simple thoughts escaping, fly, bird, find the tallest mountain for us, sing. Please save your simple thought, we'll find you. The neuroscientist Stephen Porges, in an interview, I caught him saying, just offhandedly, if you want to improve the world, not save the world, start by making people or one person feel safer. And in my book, 6 Women in a Cell, in chapter 1, you'll hear me listening to Baby, one of my cellmates. Each chapter tells the story that my cellmate shared with me. So chapter 1 is baby, chapter 2, Alexa, Richmond, the social worker, and Mud. When I first see baby, everything stops. She seems to have frozen in the middle of the cell, her feet so planted, if her eyes didn't blink, I'd think she was standing dead. Baby, an 18-year-old senior in high school, who was at most 5 feet tall and shaped soft and round, was bullied by a girl and that girl's friends. Something mean was put on Facebook. Something mean spread around the school. They threatened her at the bus stop and cornered her in the hall. Baby had had it, and by the time she took a hand to her bully, that slap on her face felt so good, said Baby. Once I started, I couldn't stop. Two days later, 3 police officers were at Baby's door. The bully was in the hospital. Time stops. The air hangs. We stand in the cold cell, seeing each other. Our breath hunkers down to a hibernator's low, and no one's ribs move. If we are still, none of this has happened, and the glaring fluorescents don't buzz with spite. We're just surprised square dance partners, catty-cornered to each other. Here, under the absence of sky, I don't ask Baby any more questions. I don't try to strategize, and I don't probe. Baby's owl eyes are tortured enough. I just hope now and pray later. She takes my face and keeps it. Angela Davis said, "You have to act as if it were possible to radically transform the world, and you have to do it all the time." But of course, we each hit our periods where we don't feel that we can keep that up somehow, either personally or collectively. So there was a particular moment in my life, 2 months after the police assault on my person, when I hit one of those lows, and I didn't have that faith to keep transforming the world, to apply what had happened to me and make good out of it. It was January, which happened to be the month that my father passed away many, many years ago, and is also the month when we celebrate Dr. Martin Luther King. So at that moment when I felt that I didn't really know how to go on, I turned my attention to ancestors who'd walked a path much more trying than mine and pulled from their strength for myself. We can do these techniques through different resources, and they're powerful. So I asked them in my mind, even now I'm supposed to believe in humanity? Even now I'm supposed to love this world? Even now I'm supposed to carry forward here in this county, in this country, on this planet? And I listened for the answer. This is the last poem I'll read. Post-assault prescription, when I fear my spirit dying. To the revered Coretta Scott and the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and to my parents. Here in the mud of my history, beneath the rage, is counsel, where grace expands like the air under a bird's wings all day it seems, rising, soaring, gliding. Willingness to take the air and ride it is grace. Riding, being lifted by air is grace. I seek grace now as my rage deepens exponentially to hate. As I see my own dreams, the day ones, the night, and witness my capacity to do to another real harm, I return to silence. I'm not saying it is easy. I return to silence. I am not saying I will be quiet. I return to silence. I am not saying I won't shout my grief from the rooftops. I am saying, silence, old friend. Take me to wings for the moment. Lend me levity. Remind my breath of breath beneath breath and the untapped wisdom beneath that. Take me to updrafts or wind loops, my father's sword that lifted my mother when her grief took hold. They have been this path, these kings, these queens. They have dug to the deepest of rage, to the place where the body is a volcano of anger, where hate is so tempting it begins to taste great and you start to want it. Silence. The heart is a blanket that lies soft to the spine. She whispers to the pounding heels, now, even now. Face rosen with a swelling of terror, stomach a gutter of moral injury, hair torn ragged from violation in this backyard. Silence is the heart's banner. In 200-mile-per-hour fear, she pulse flashes in sky fire across my lacerated faith. She glares down the clutch of despair in my gullet, singing glorified lyric over hammering percussion. Find silence, garner power. And sweat-soaked in prayer, incredulous with doubt, hardly the soaring bird, and beg kneeling ancient in the muck, I hear her start this odd duet of continuance. Tether, tether, she whispers. Heels to the molten, then let open wings, and I, in my mammal weight, wonder, now? Walking in the bones of a different girl? Now, Mad gravel between two lips. Even now, she answers mercilessly, as if it's simple, as if it's known. Even now. Thank you so much. My books will be for sale outside.
Thank you so much, Diana. Y'all are incredible as a group and as a community. I really appreciate y'all being here. And like Diana said, I think everyone has a book in here. I also have some books if you're interested. I would love to talk to y'all. I would love to talk to the readers also. So please do say hey. Thank you for being here again. I look forward to seeing you around Takoma Park if you do live here. Yeah, and thank you for coming out tonight and being in community with us around poetry. Thanks, y'all.